know, got a real fine taste for cat food. That backfired. Girl Scout cookies. I brought a couple of boxes home of them caramel delights, you know, the kind that you can eat about 3 sleeves and about a half a gallon of milk and just go, man, why can't I have some more of them? He likes them also. That entire box. And down the hatch, boom. I walk in and there he is, and I know immediately something's going on. He's eating 2 bags of Doritos, a box of crackers, a loaf of bread, and a pack of cookies. And he's like, Bud. So I'll take my belt off or something and I'll just wear him out good. Yeah, I'll just wear mine out just like I did my youngins. Okay? And he'll go in there and he'll pout around a little bit, he'll look at me, and he'll yelp and he'll whatever. But in just a few moments, here he comes back and he's got his paw and he'll hop up in my lap. And he's got unconditional love. Kick his guts out, I mean, he'd get in the way, you know, in a few minutes he's right back over there right at you. Unconditional love. Unconditional. Love like Jesus is totally unconditional. Did Jesus come and said, you know what, if you all will love me, I'll love you. He came and he loved us all before he even knew us. And realizing who we were, what we've done, he still loved us. You know, a lot of folks in this world, they can love you if you've done, it's kind of like they were saying, what have you done for me lately? You know what I'm talking about? And if you haven't done something for them lately, then, you know what? I don't know if I really love them as much as I used to. You know, we've separated a little bit. But Jesus loved us regardless of everything we've done. And he said, this is the commandment, not the suggestion, not the, here's some advice. This is the commandment that I give you, that you love one another as I have loved you. And I think, boy, he loved me. He loved me enough to die for me. Loved me enough to die for me. Do I love people like that? Do I love him like that? You know, a lot of times, I was talking to my mother one day, and I said, you know, a lot of times, you know, church people, especially, you know, guys that are loud and jump around and holler and shout and look like me and cry, they get a lot of reproach. I hear people say, well, you're just too emotional. You get too emotional, preacher. You know, church people, they get too emotional. Well, let me tell you what. There is something a little bit to that. And me and my mother one day, we were talking about this. I said, Mom, you know, I've been thinking a lot about this emotion thing and how people, the negatives and how people bring a reproach and how they'll criticize. You know, I had, this guy told me one day, he said, you know, over in town they call you the wild bunch.
That's all right.
I said, really? Yeah, somebody nicknamed me the Wild Bunch. And I thought, well, that was a cowboy movie, wasn't it? John Wayne was in there or something, Wild Bunch? No, he wasn't in that one? Well, 7 years old, too. Wave Hope. That's another good cowboy. Wild Bunch. But I was talking to my mother, and I said, you know, Mom, I've been thinking about this emotion. I said, you know what? Some of these people, they probably got a little bit of point to that. And I said, here's how I see it. I said, you know, sometimes folks can come and we can get emotional when we begin thinking, and I'm not criticizing this, don't get me wrong, don't say no direction I'm going here. I'm going to make a point of this. Sometimes we get emotional, you know, we can think about our folks, our grandpas, our grandmas. You know, I love a lot of who I am today is because of my grandparents. You know, they took my mother, my daddy to church. You know, my grandpa, my mother's daddy was a little fella about this tall, a little bitty guy. He was wiry though. He was a little tenor singer, lived over on Paint Creek. Loved to sing, knew how to sing that shake note music, him and my granny. And they're wonderful people. Love them. I'll see them again someday. Can't wait. But I said, Mom, you know, sometimes folks can come to church and they can get emotional. And I said, they can cry about Grandpa, they can cry about Aunt Sally or whoever. I said, but you know, here's what I really want people to begin to cry about Jesus. When you cry about Jesus, when there's a love for Jesus that brings tears to your eyes. When there's a love and a compassion and a burning desire, and when that bubbles up and you begin to cry and you begin to have that, you know what? That's when it's wonderful. That's the real, because I said, you know, Jesus said to love people like I've loved you, that means loving Him too. A lot of times I ask people, I said, you love God? Oh, yes, I love the Lord, preacher, you know I do. And I thought, And I've even said that. I've had people through the years come and said, stand up if you love the Lord. And I said, yeah, I love the Lord. Sure do. That's a crazy question. I love it. Yeah. Then I begin to look at myself and begin to look in the mirror and say, do I truly love Him? Because the commandment that He gave me, Brother Wade, was that I love everybody just like He loved me.
Yes, amen.
And then He began to give me an example of that love beyond anything that anybody had ever known, was to lay down their life for another person. You know, I've heard a lot of stories. A lot of you guys in here, and gals that's been in the military, some of you have been in the war, some of you have been in combat, some of you have seen some bad things. Been around some bad stuff. And I've heard stories through the years about, a man maybe in a platoon or whatever that would sacrifice himself for the lives of all these other brothers. And he was the one that died while the others lived. What a sacrifice. Jesus said that love is beyond any love that we could ever know. Love like Jesus. Starting right here, right now, I'm turning another page that I love like Jesus. That I have that in my heart. And that bubbles up and that carries, and that's everything, and that leads and guides and directs me every aspect of everything that I do, that I love like Jesus. I love like Him. The love that He had for an old boy. All of us. All the things, look back over your life, all the things you've done. I like talking to William after he tell me something. He said, preacher, I ain't been the best fella in the world. He said, I never was in a whole lot of trouble. But he said, I've done my share of things. I said, me too. I sure have. But I said, I'm thankful that God loves me. He loves me. He loves me. Jesus said, this commandment I give you, that you love one another. As I have loved you, through all of the things that I've done, all the mistakes that I've made, He's still there. You are my friends if you do so whatsoever command henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you. These things I command you to do, that you love one another. Starting right here, right now, are you turning another page? I know it's tough sometimes. Some of you working out in the public, some of you work in retail, stuff like that. Sometimes it's tough when somebody's standing in front of your checkout line or your cash register, and they're mad and horny. And you've done wrong, you've done this, and you can't fix nothing, everything's going on, and they're just yelling and hollering and complaining and going all kinds of stuff. And you're sitting there thinking, preacher said to love like Jesus. This is hard. Sometimes I get kids in my classes through the years, and a couple of times